I moved from San Francisco to Melbourne expecting kangaroos and beaches. Instead, I discovered America has been lying to us about what freedom actually means. My name's Alex. I'm an American expat, and after 3 years living in Australia, I went back to visit the US last month. That trip made me realize something horrifying. I've been living in a system designed to keep me broke, sick, and terrified, and I didn't even know it. Let me tell you about Charlotte. She's 34, works in tech in Austin, carries $47,000 in student debt from a state school. Smart woman. Did everything right. Then last year, she started feeling exhausted all the time, gaining weight despite eating well, losing clumps of hair in the shower. Turned out to be hypothyroidism. Pretty common, very treatable. Her doctor prescribed Synthroid. Her insurance approved it. She went to pick it up at CVS. $890 per month. But wait, before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my essential stuff. Comment I subscribe below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. With that said, let's get started. See, her insurance had switched to a high deductible plan. She hadn't hit her $6,000 deductible yet. So this life-sustaining medication, something she'd need every single day for the rest of her life, would cost her over $10,000 a year out of pocket. You want to know what that same medication costs in Australia? $7.50 per month. Not a typo. $7.50 under the pharmaceutical benefit scheme. The same exact drug, from the same manufacturers. And according to a 2023 Commonwealth Fund study, this isn't unusual. Americans pay 2.5 times more for prescription drugs than any other developed nation. Not a little more. 2.5 times more. But wait, it gets worse. Because what Charlotte didn't know would almost kill her. Her insurance had a clause buried in page 47 of her policy. When her thyroid condition progressed and her doctor recommended surgery, her insurance denied the claim. They called it a pre-existing condition because she'd mentioned fatigue to a doctor 9 months before getting the diagnosis. She'd been paying $380 per month for insurance that refused to insure her when she actually needed it. Meanwhile, I had an emergency appendectomy in Melbourne. Woke up at 2 a.m. with splitting abdominal pain. Got an ambulance, emergency surgery, 3 days in the hospital, follow-up appointments. I paid $0. No paperwork. No denial letters. No fighting with insurance companies while recovering from surgery. Zero. And before you think Australia is a magical utopia, let me hit you with this stat. 530,000 American families declare bankruptcy every single year because of medical bills, according to the American Journal of Public Health's 2019 study. Over 500,000 families wiped out financially because someone got sick. Your health insurance isn't protection. It's a monthly payment for the chance they might help you. Maybe, if you read the fine print, if the stars align. Let me tell you about James. He's 41, lives in Phoenix, type 1 diabetic since childhood, needs insulin to literally stay alive. In Phoenix, his insulin costs $300 per vial. He needs about 4 vials per month. That's $1,200 monthly just to not die. He started rationing, using less insulin than prescribed, skipping doses. You know what that does to a diabetic's body over time? Nerve damage, kidney failure, blindness, amputations. In Melbourne, that same insulin, $7 per prescription under PBS. James is slowly killing himself because he can't afford to live in America. Now, before you comment, but Australia has such high taxes, let me show you the math that legitimately blew my mind. In California, between state and federal taxes, I paid about 32% of my income in taxes. In Melbourne, I pay about 34%. So yes, 2% more. But here's what that extra 2% bought me. Complete healthcare coverage, $0 doctor visits, affordable medications, but also, and this is insane, university tuition is covered by government loans that you only pay back once you're earning over $55,000 a year. No interest, just adjusted for inflation. 4 weeks of mandatory paid vacation every single year. By law, employers can't refuse it. 18 weeks of paid parental leave. Superannuation, forced retirement savings that employers contribute to. And you want to know the absolutely wild part? According to the OECD's 2024 report, American workers get 0 federally mandated paid vacation days. 0. You're begging your employer for time off in the richest country on earth. Australia guarantees 20 days minimum. I got food poisoning on a work trip in Melbourne once. Felt awful. Walked into a clinic. Saw a doctor in 30 minutes. Got antibiotics and anti-nausea medication. Walked out. Total cost? $0. My American friend got food poisoning at a wedding in LA. He spent the night vomiting. Couldn't keep water down. Clearly needed medical attention. You know what he did? Nothing. He laid on his bathroom floor for 12 hours because he had a $3,000 deductible and couldn't afford an ER visit. That's not freedom. America doesn't give you freedom. It gives you the freedom to go broke trying to survive. And then I learned about the voting system. This is where it gets absolutely insane. Australia has mandatory voting. If you don't vote, you get a small fine. Result? 95% voter turnout. Elections happen on Saturdays. Polls are open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You automatically registered when you turn 18. And here's the best part. Every polling place has democracy sausages. Literal barbecues outside polling stations. People make a whole day of it. Voting is a community celebration. Now let me tell you about Marcus. He's a black voter in Georgia. In the 2020 election, he waited 7 hours to vote. 7 hours. Stood in line from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m., then had to leave because he had a night shift at the hospital. He came back at 7 a.m. the next time the polls opened. Finally voted at 9:30 a.m. after another 2.5 hours in line. Meanwhile, according to a Brennan Center study from 2021, polling places in predominantly white suburbs in the same county average 18-minute wait times. 18 minutes versus 7 hours. And this is by design. Voting happens on Tuesdays, a work day. Some states have strict ID requirements. Voter rolls get purged. Districts are gerrymandered beyond recognition. Polling places in black and brown neighborhoods mysteriously close down before elections. In Australia, voting is a party. In America, it's an obstacle course. An MIT study from 2022 ranked the U.S. 31st out of 35 developed nations in ease of voting. 31st. Behind countries you've probably never heard of. They call it freedom, but freedom to vote shouldn't require taking a day off work and standing in line for 7 hours. But here's what really broke me. The gun violence statistics that made me realize I could never raise kids in America. The U.S. has 120.5 guns per 100 people according to the 2023 Small Arms Survey. There are more guns than people. Australia has 14.5 guns per 100 people. I visited my sister in Colorado last year. Her kids are in elementary school. You know what they do every month? Active shooter drills. I watched my 7-year-old niece explain her school's lockdown procedure to me. She said, and I'll never forget this, we hide in the bathroom stalls, stand on the toilet so the bad guy can't see our feet, and we have to stay really, really quiet even if we are scared. She's 7 years old. She has a protocol for hiding from someone trying to murder her. In Australia, there have been 0 school shootings since the Port Arthur massacre led to gun reform in 1996. 27 years. 0 school shootings. The U.S. has 4.43 gun deaths per 100,000 people according to 2023 CDC data. Australia has 0.88 per 100,000 according to the Australian Institute of Criminology. Let me tell you about Emily. She's a mother of 2 in Uvalde, Texas. After the Robb Elementary shooting, she pulled her kids out of public school. She now homeschools them because she can't sleep at night thinking about dropping them off at school. She told me, I know statistically it's unlikely, but I also know 19 kids went to school one day and never came home. I can't do it. In Melbourne, my Australian friends' kids don't know what an active shooter drill is. The concept doesn't exist in their world. They don't have bulletproof backpacks. They are not taught to hide in bathrooms. Now, I know what you're thinking. Australia isn't perfect either. And you're absolutely right. Let me tell you what Australia gets wrong. The housing crisis is insane. The median home price in Sydney is $1.4 million Australian dollars. Melbourne isn't much better. Rent is brutal. Internet speeds in rural areas are frustratingly slow. Everything imported is expensive. I miss my family constantly. I miss good Mexican food. I miss baseball. Moving to another country is hard. Culture shock is real. There are days I feel completely alone. But here's the thing. I couldn't afford to buy a house in San Francisco either. I was paying $2,400 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, so I'm priced out of housing in both countries. The difference? In Melbourne, I'm not terrified of getting sick. I'm not worried about getting shot. I don't avoid going to the doctor because I can't afford it. I don't skip medications. I don't have to choose between rent and health. I traded convenience for actual safety and security. And that's when I realized the truth. America confuses freedom with every man for himself. So here's what I'd tell anyone considering leaving. First, research visa options seriously. Australia has skilled migration pathways, working holiday visas for people under 30, partner visas if you have an Australian significant other. It's not impossible, but it requires planning. Second, compare healthcare costs for your specific conditions. Go to pbs.gov.au and search for your medications. Calculate what you actually spend on healthcare in America, including premiums, deductibles, co-pays, and prescriptions. Third, do the real tax math. Include your health insurance costs, student loan payments, and childcare expenses in your U.S. tax burden. Then compare it to Australian income tax rates. You might be shocked. Reality check. Moving countries is hard. You will get homesick. You will miss stupid things like Target runs and free fountain drink refills. You will be frustrated when you can't find your favorite brand of cereal. But ask yourself this, would you rather be comfortable and terrified or challenged and secure? Remember Sarah from the beginning of this video? The woman with thyroid problems paying $890 per month for medication? She moved to Sydney in 2023. Now she pays $7.50 per month for her thyroid medication. She saved $36,000 in her first year between medication costs and not having insurance premiums. She used that money to aggressively pay down her student loans. She called me last week and said something I'll never forget. Alex, I forgot what it feels like to not be afraid. I didn't realize how much constant, low-level terror I was living with every single day in America. Terror of getting sick. Terror of losing my job. Terror of a surprise medical bill bankrupting me. I didn't know life could feel safe. So here's what I want to know from you. Would you trade American freedom for actual security? Or do you think I'm completely wrong about America? Tell me in the comments. Are you team stay and fight or team get out while you can? And if you've already left America, where did you go and what shocked you the most about your new country? The most surprising answer gets pinned. Because I'm making part 2 about the 5 countries Americans are fleeing to right now, and number 3 will absolutely shock you.